Shane here. I hope you're all doing well and staying warm in this frigid weather. But today I thought we would talk about a question that I get most often inside and outside of the gym. Sir, who are you and what are you doing here? That's not the one. What is the best diet? Unfortunately, most people don't like my answer, but we'll get into that later. So, what are diets? Why do we do them? And what's the best one? Let's talk about it. So, starting with, what are diets? Well, if we go by the original meaning, a diet is just what you eat on a day-to-day basis, your habitual eating, what you eat to sustain your existence. If we go by the more common and modern definition, hit your microphone. Good job. If we go by the more common and modern definition, generally involves extreme calorie restriction with the goal of weight loss in mind. Typically, diets fall into one of three categories. Your lifestyle diets, that's what you do every day, day in, day out. You also have the people who say it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. These people are typically in keto or carnivore or paleo or CrossFit. Nothing against any of those. Your fad diets, your extreme calorie restrictions, these are things like the grapefruit diet, military diet, diet. Extreme calorie restrictions, usually for a very short duration of time with a very specific amount of weight loss in mind. And then you also have your medical-based diets, special diets for people who have things like diabetes, cancer, certain other health issues. And that is just to manage their health issue. So why do we do them? Because we're vain little creatures who think we need to. But in general, I think most people start a diet because they are unhappy with themselves. When I first really got into health and fitness, I was overweight and I saw a picture of myself and went, holy shit, and I needed to change something. So I think that's where most people get that I need to do a diet. The problem is most people nowadays look for a quick fix. We want it fast, and we want it now. Unfortunately, fast and now will not be there tomorrow. So, why do we do diets? Beyond that, and where did they come from? We tend to think of diets as more of a modern thing, but they go back centuries. One of the first diet books, if you will, was written in the late 1800s. I believe it was called Letter of Corpulence. I hope I am saying that right. And it was William Banting, I do believe. I will check this later and confirm over here if I'm right or not. And in that he detailed his exercise and eating regime and put an emphasis on not eating things like sugar, starches, and butter, which sounds pretty spot on for most diets nowadays. Fad diets came about really big in the 1930s and even bigger in the 1950s. Remember the worm in a pill? I'm not sure that was real, but a lot of people reference it. And fad diets again in the 1990s. 1990s had a ton of diets. South Beach diet, cookie diet. There was also, you had, Suzanne Summers and those other ladies who I can't think of right now. Susan Powder. I can't think of any others. Everyone had a workout video in the 90s, though, even Cher. Now, in the era of the 2000s, we have much more of the lifestyle diets, the ketos, the paleos, the whole 30. I don't know them all. I don't care to know them all. But Brings us to an interesting question of which one is the best, and why people don't like my answer. And the main answer is because it depends. We are all each individual people. We all have different nutrient needs. We all have different energy expenditures. We all have different goals. Not everyone goes on a diet to lose weight. Some people go on a diet to maintain their weight. Some people go on a diet to gain weight. When I was a kid, I was put on a diet to drink a carnation shake. I think that's what it was. Those little powdery, gross shakes. I think I had to have one with breakfast and dinner or something like that because I was very underweight. So the goal of a diet is not always to lose weight, but we do tend to think weight loss when we hear diet. Now, personally, when I talk to people about their diets and their nutrition, I tell them that I think a diet should be sustainable. You should be able to do it long term. It should be repeatable. You should be able to do it forever if you want to. A diet should work for you and your body. You don't want to eat a bunch of foods that make you bloated and gassy and nauseous and miserable. I mean, unless you like that for some reason. And it should work with your goals. One of the examples I tend to use is if you are a marathon runner, you probably don't want to do keto. Does that mean you can't do keto? No, do you. But it might not be the most optimal diet if that is your goal. So how do we figure that out? Well, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. One way is the elimination diet, finding foods that really work with your body, but I'm not the biggest fan of just completely removing things. That's one of the things that we tend to do when we do start our diets, is we empty our house of every tasty morsel, all the things that we have deemed bad over the years, and then you eat nothing but salads, and then next thing you know, it's 3 a.m., you're crying on the floor eating a cake with your hands. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm much more of a fan of slowly replacing foods, replacing drinks, replace. Getting creative in the kitchen, learning how to cook, learning how to experiment, doing things that taste good and feel good, but aren't quite as calorific as the thing you're trying to replicate. One of the things I've been making a lot recently is high-protein French toast, which is very interesting because as a kid we ate French toast a lot in this house, and I got so sick of it. But all of a sudden I have a craving for it. But I didn't want to do it in the old school way where you just, cover, bread and egg and butter and syrup and all that, because that would not work towards my goals. So instead I started making healthier French toast, and it's delicious. So there's simple little things like that you can do to find what works for you, what tastes good, and what is sustainable. Sustainable is probably the biggest factor in what is a good diet, what is the best diet. If you cannot do your diet long term, if you cannot eat a certain way long term, you are going to crash and burn like all hell. I think it's okay to indulge a little bit here and there. As they say, moderation is key. But there is some truth to that. Some people say the 80-20 principle, if you're good 80% of the time, the 20% won't matter. Which, maybe play with the numbers a little bit, but that could work. You need to be able to do it long term. You need to be able to have repeatable strategies for your diet to be successful for whatever your goal is. It does not have to be weight loss. That's one thing I do want to stress. You do not have to do a diet to lose weight. We tend to think of it that way, but it doesn't have to be weight loss. Like I said, maintain weight, gain muscle, whatever your goal is, a diet or the way you eat can lead you towards those goals. So, in conclusion, the best diet is one that is sustainable, works with you and your body, end with your goals. So, if you would like me to go into any specific diets and go through the pros and cons of all that, I will gladly do that. I didn't feel like doing it here because we could be here for days. But, as always, I hope you liked this video. I hope you found something helpful, educational, entertaining, something. But if you did, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, feel free to ask me whatever questions or suggest any topics that you would like to hear from, and I will see you next time.